There's a deadly trade going on right now between the United States and Mexico. Billions of dollars worth of drugs are being shipped from south of the border into the United States, even as hundreds of millions, at least hundreds of millions of dollars worth of heavy weapons flow from up here, down there, and into the hands of some of the world's most vicious criminals. And they are using those weapons to fight their own government in what has become a full-scale war. It's more vicious, really, folks, than anything going on right now in Afghanistan or Iraq. Watch. An eruption of deadly ambushes, street shootings, home invasions, assassinations, kidnappings, and even decapitations has brought chaos to Mexican border towns from Juarez to Tijuana, and apprehension and worse to American cities near the line. Ever since Mexican President Felipe Calderón deployed his army in 2006 to dismantle his nation's all-powerful drug cartels, over 8,000 casualties have been violently claimed in cartel hotspots across Mexico. Juarez, just across the Rio Grande River from El Paso, Texas, is Mexico's murder capital. There were 11 homicides on a single Sunday in January, as an example. 7 that Monday, 6 on Tuesday, 9 on Wednesday, and on Thursday, January 22nd, at least 6 men had been killed by the evening, including an unidentified man found tied up and stabbed to death not far from the new U.S. consulate. And the violence is not staying south of the border. A dangerous and deadly epidemic of kidnapping for ransom has hit Phoenix. Over 370 cases in 2008 alone, making it second only to Mexico City. In every Arizona case, both the victim and the suspect is a criminal alien connected to the Mexican drug trade. Now, Mexican gangsters strong enough to declare war against their own government have made Phoenix, Arizona second only to Mexico City as kidnapping capital of the world. I love Mexico and I love Mexican people, but this is way out of hand. Rusty Fleming, my next guest, is a gutsy documentary filmmaker who's been spending some hard and dangerous time south of the border chronicling Mexico's descent into the abyss of violence. That's him on the left. Andy Anderson on the right is the assistant chief of the Phoenix Police. He's the his men are the ones dealing with that epidemic of kidnapping. Rusty, you first. I know that border so well. Why is it that Juarez is the murder capital of Mexico and El Paso, right across the river, is experiencing virtually no response? There's no crime related to Mexico, violent crime going on in El Paso. Why not? Just in case.
Well, it is very limited, Geraldo, and one of the reasons is because the cartels are fighting a all-out war over in Juarez. You've got 3 different factions warring over the corridor there, and actually you've also got the other factor, which a lot of the higher-level narcos are now living in El Paso, and these guys don't make war where they live. What you're going to see is once the plaza in Juarez is settled and there's one cartel that is dominant, one left standing, then you're going to see them starting to act out in the same behavior over on the U.S. side.
Chief Anderson, in Phoenix, I went to the U of A. I've just been in Arizona. I didn't know anything about this kidnapping wave. Is it because the victims and the perps are all these criminal aliens, Mexicans, and they're all fighting amongst themselves, so to speak?
Well, obviously that's part of it. We understand that we don't know all of the crimes that are taking place. We get called generally when a family member calls and is concerned about it, because for the most part it's bad guy on bad guy, and they don't want us involved in it.
Do you think, Chief, that Mexico can win this war against its drug cartels? Can the Army beat the bad guys?
Well, obviously, we certainly hope so. It's certainly in our best interest if they can. Before we go much further, I don't want to miss an opportunity to put things in perspective also. Phoenix, crime is down in Phoenix. Phoenix is one of the safest major cities in the nation. Our homicide rate's down 24% over last year. We're at the second lowest level in 15 years, and property crime's down. This is a very real issue for us. The kidnappings and the home invasions are a big issue, and they're a real threat not only to our community but to the police officers that have to deal with that. But it is a safe city, and it's a good place to live and a good place to raise your family.
And the same thing, Rusty, there it is again. The city almost untouched, unaffected. The bad guys, it's like a self-cleaning oven in some ways, Rusty.
Let me just tell you this, Geraldo, with all due respect to the Calderon administration and how sincere they are about taking on the narcos, they're going to lose this and lose big if they don't get help.
I got to go. We've got a hard break, Rusty. I'm so sorry. I'll catch you on the other side of the break. Take a break. Right back after this. Let Rusty finish that thought. Back live, everybody. Rusty Fleming, here's the question I have for you. Can Felipe Calderon, who was elected by less than 1/10% of the vote, can he keep the government together? Can he keep the Mexican people united in a war against the drug cartel? Or can the drug bandits beat the Mexican army and bring down the Mexican state, make it a failed state? And you've got 30 seconds to answer that profound question.
Well, first of all, Geraldo, I do believe credit is due to President Calderon for his sincerity in dealing with the issue.
Me too.
Secondly,
me too.
I mean, and I truly believe that there are many in his administration that feel the same way. The issue is that doesn't translate all the way down to the bottom, and you have to understand that any force that you put next to these narco-terrorists for any length of time is going to become corrupt. You just cannot keep a consistent, constant force next to these guys without them becoming corrupt.
They buy them off. Okay, Rusty, we'll do a whole show on this. I'm gonna do an hour special on this. I got to run because I got a very important guest waiting. Not that you aren't, Rusty, but this guy runs the free world as we know it. Rusty Fleming, thank you. Chief Anderson, thank you.